Welcome back everyone to the channel. Once again, you have hit the mark right. This is like the 6th or 7th video in our new player champion series spotlight, which if you haven't heard what the goal of it is yet, it's to arm yourself with some easy access champions, some quick tips as well, so you can build out your roster so you're ready to farm up the campaign more efficiently, dungeons more efficiently, faction wars, and have some PvP strategies under your belt. We've covered other previous characters already that are very powerful, but today we're going to tackle a pretty unique one and also like not that hard to gain access to character. This is going to be Coldheart. She's from the Dark Elves faction, and she likes to do some nice things when it comes to enemy turns in combinations with giving your team or her the ability to do some big damage. The easiest thing for you to do is support the channel by checking out the link in the description below. You're gonna get a free legendary champion as well as up to $200 worth of free goodies. And don't forget up to 3 awesome epics as you level up inside of Raid. And be sure to use the code Desert Queen to get access to your new free legendary champion in the form of Tahana Rock. As always, this helps the channel out so much, guys, so be sure to check that description down in the link below and join me in Raid today. Coldheart is gonna be a turn meter stripper plus nuker from the Dark Elves faction, and turn meter reduction is very nice. We all like to go fast, not slow, but you know what? Sometimes you already have all the tools to make your team go fast, and you want to make the enemy team go even slower, so you get speed cycling, taking 2-3 extra turns compared to some of the enemies that you're going up against. So let's check on this. Now, why is she so strong for newbies? You can stop bosses cold, anti-heal and multi-hits, and she is going to be a great top rare for dungeons in 2026. Now, you are going to have to open void shards for her, but she is only a rare champion. All right, most of the champions we covered so far have been farmable in some way, shape, or form. This one's going to be a rare, so keep your eyes open for her. Now, the A1 here is going to be the Flurry of Blows. It attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Now, this can be in a multi-target situation, 4 different enemies, 2 and 2, 1 and 3, or in a single target boss situation, you're going to attack the same guy 4 times, each of them having a chance to put that heal reduction on them, which is pretty nice. It's going to block off tanky strategies in something like PvP and Arena. Maybe you need this heal reduction debuff on certain enemies and encounters that you find in PvE, but it is going to be a pretty nice skill that you just have as an A1 because she attacks 4 times on just one A1 with no cooldown associated with it. We also have the A2, which is Art of Pain. It's a 4-turn cooldown, but you can reduce this down to a 3-turn cooldown. It's going to attack all enemies with a 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff on them for 1 turn. And it also does the thing that we love to tell you about how strong it is on this channel when it comes to early game PvE progression in the form of putting a 5% poison debuff on them for 2 turns as well, if they're under a heal reduction debuff. So this can be very, very nice. 5% HP, 2 turns. We like that. That's 10% of the boss's health off with 1 skill right there. If you level this up, you can get damage buffs on level 2 and level 3, and then level 4 is going to give you that increased buff and debuff chance, which helps you even more with this debuff association. Then we have A3, which is the real big shindig of why you're bringing Coldheart to the party. I know the other ones are kind of lackluster. This is starting off at a 5-turn cooldown. It attacks 1 enemy, which decreases the enemy's turn meter by 100% and has an extra 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit, and damage increases according to the enemy's max health. So this is really why we're here. This is the ultimate boss slayer. You can also use her in PvP situations where you just boost her up with someone else and send that guy on the enemy team to the back of the line. But in PvP situations, you could do that. In PvE boss situations, though, in conjunction with some of the other characters we've already talked about that have speed auras or speed buffs or combat readiness increasing, having someone with a 100% turn meter pushback is insane. And you can also reduce this from a 5-turn cooldown all the way down to a 4-turn cooldown, which is just amazing. But also keep in mind, the damage increases according to the enemy's max HP, which also makes her not just a nice little control character, but also a very solid boss killer instead of just a boss crowd controller. You're gonna go with the A1, maybe you put some heal reduction on them. You have the ability to put poison on them, clear out some of the enemies as well with the S2, which is going to be a nice little way to put a dent in the boss. And then the big one is the Heartseeker. So a lot of the times you're going to be loading up with your team, you're going to Heartseeker the boss right before it gets ready to take its turn, send it all the way to the back of the line, put an unbuffable on it, your team's speeding around, you put some poison on it as well, you decrease accuracy, so even once it gets to its turn finally, it can't hit you. Maybe it'll take a turn or two, and then you Heartseeker it all the way to the back of the line, all over again. And keep in mind, not only does this scale off of max HP that the enemy has, but you also get extra crit chance on this as well. So where are you going to be using her at? Primarily, this is going to be for stuff like dungeons, as well as clan bosses, maybe like the Doom Tower, the Hydra there. You could also fit her into an arena offense team if you really want to, you know, push her up and strip and push back the enemy team leader. But most of the time it's going to be for those big PvE bosses. You don't really want to farm the campaign with her. You already have probably enough of those under your belt anyway, right? So this is a character we've definitely wanted to talk about because of just how unique she is when it comes to excelling at just destroying the high HP targets you're going to run into during your time with Raid. So if you can farm her up, right, get some shards, get a little lucky there, you're gonna have her in your back pocket while you're working on some of the other characters, the 6 other ones that you can farm up and do cool stuff with on the channel we've covered already. And then once you finally unlock her, you're gonna be able to use her. So how are we gonna be building her, right? What do we wanna do with her? So I personally would tell you to put her on like a 4-piece speed set with some accuracy as well. You want her to be fast, especially if you're gonna be using her in the arena so you can set the enemy team leader back. But also just in PvE scenarios, I know she's a damage dealer. You don't want her to be that 0 speed damage dealer. You want her to do damage in addition to what her utility is providing to your team. You want her to Heartseeker the boss as fast as possible, use her A1, use her A2 afterwards, and then take a couple extra turns by being fast with some speed buffs from other party members, only to Heartseeker the boss all over again. So I would wear that 4-piece speed set with some accuracy on the 2-piece set there as well. Gloves, we want to do damage though. We're going to get crit right there. Chest is going to be attack percent. Boots will be speed as well. Other slots you can aim for additional attack or accuracy if you need it for your debuffs there. And then substats, crit rate, crit damage, speed, accuracy up to the amount that you need, and then additional attack as well. And Coldheart is going to be a fantastic character to add to your lineup, and you can pair her with a lot of the other characters we already talked about on this channel because we've talked about so many of the supporting cast, and this is really the first one that's like an strictly like boss crowd controlling, I take too many turns, you can't stop me now style of character. And that's why we're covering Coldheart today. If you want to see more stuff, check out the previous videos if you haven't seen them yet on the channel about the other characters you should be leveling. And we are going to have at least a few more characters to talk about in Raid Shadow Legends that you can be abusing as a newer player that aren't that hard to acquire. If you want to see that stuff, you know what to do. Drop the sub, drop the like. Make sure you check out the description below. Hit that link to join me in Raid, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.